new video series. I'm very excited to share this with you. We will be bringing on industry experts to talk about a specific problem and find ways to help solve that problem. So the goal is to help people just like you, that you can find ways to implement things right away so you're not listening to these hour-long calls and not sure where to start. We do 10, 20 minutes and we dive into a specific problem and tell you exactly how to solve it. So this first episode that you will be watching, we bring on an industry expert to talk about the financial services industry. And we're focused more from the leadership perspective and trends that are happening in 2023, what you need to be prepared for, and all of that. So for today, I have 3 main takeaways for you that I want to share. The first one is going to be the customer journey. So we talk about building relationships, allowing your team to be more personal, to connect to customers, and really how do you understand that customer journey? So that's going to be the first one that we dive into. The second is right now, every phone call, every customer interaction matters, right? Even on the prospecting side, more so. So increasing the efficiency with the team you have rather than trying to bring on more people or do more than what your team's capable of is just increase their efficiency to make them more effective. And we talk about how to do that. And this includes training, includes coaching, and using tech to help all of that. The third takeaway is measuring KPIs. So in the financial services world, we talk about average handle time, first call resolution, all this fun stuff, but it's not tied to revenue. It's not tied to the outcome of the company.
We have Greg Reffner, CEO and founder of Abstract, which we actually happen to have quite a few customers in the financial services world. And then we have our special guest, Saad, who is the founder and CEO of Tech Stack Advising. Adam knows contact centers like the back of his hand, so he's lived and breathed this world for many years and understands the struggles that the financial services market endures when it comes to software and tech. So Adam, please say hi.
Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for having me, Claire and Greg. Really excited to dive into this topic.
Adam, thanks for joining us. Super excited to get your perspective on this. As we're seeing kind of the world change every single day in terms of inflation, recession, things like that, I think you have a front row seat to what some of these companies are doing, and so excited to pick your brain and hopefully have our customers and listeners learn a thing or two.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you again.
God, this will be fun. So let's kind of start it off by looking at the current economy right now. Everybody's trying to increase their value in the organization. We've actually seen some of our customers at Abstract are seeing growth due to the economy and credit card debt piling up. So there's a lot of differing trends happening. Adam, what kind of trends do you see with the companies you've worked with?
That's a really loaded question. These financial institutions are having to navigate this tumultuous macro environment really for their end customers. Us as consumers, we have to trust our financial institutions to really hold our hand through this tough time. So I would say that the number one trend here is really these financial institutions have to be, number one, experts in navigating the environment, and two, be experts in building trust with their customers across the entire relationship from the top of the funnel all the way down to service and then back through. So as the macro environment changes quickly, as all of our individual financial situations change, again, as consumers, we're really relying on these financial institutions to build trust.
Yeah, we've seen that a lot too, and it is scary from an individual perspective, just thinking about that in the market that they're in. Greg, what have you seen with our customers and others that you've talked with?
Yeah, so one of our largest customers in the financial services industry is a credit consulting debt restructuring service. And I think they've grown 900% year over year just as a result of the massive amount of credit card debt that Americans are actually racking up right now. And so whether it be on the banking side or kind of on the flip side where you're kind of trying to solve some of the financial troubles that you're getting into. Either way, you're trying to keep your agents on the front line as up to date and educated with whatever's changing in the market, laws, governance, state and local, federal legislature, things like that. But then also trying to kind of decrease that first call resolution, that handle time, to make sure your customers that you are working with are happy. And so it's a delicate balance, and I think that's what we're seeing kind of be it's growing in terms of the complicatedness. I don't even know if that's a word. Over the past year or so.
Yeah. That kind of makes me think of, one of the things when I talk to some of, especially at the regional level, some of these larger banks, one of the big things they're trying to do, they're trying to increase efficiency within their contact center and keep their agents on the front lines with their customers. But there's a huge focus on the quality of the conversations people are having. I mean, any financial matter is a personal and delicate matter. So again, of course, quality is going to be important, but what I keep hearing over and over from these, especially these regional banks, is we want to keep the regional neighborhood feel. We want everyone to know that we are your neighbors. We are living in your communities. We are experiencing the same inflation effects that you are. So while efficiencies, especially in contact center, efficiencies always been at the forefront. Financial institutions specifically are holding on to that quality, neighborly feel, which I think is really important. And it's good to see as a contact center nerd like myself.
I just think from the perspective, an outside perspective too, of thinking of it, when you're in the financial services industry, like you said, building trust, right? But also the neighborhood feel. Gotta love the dog barks. It happens all the time at my house.
Sorry about that.
Don't worry. Do you think there's certain things as as clients are planning for that future and building that community feel, that neighborhood feel, how are they planning to do that right now? What steps are they taking? Adam, do you have any insights on that?
Yeah, and I just want to, yep. So, I think it starts with really knowing your customer, right? You can't really have a good conversation without truly understanding who your customer is, providing kind of the empathetic feel of being in your customer's shoes. And I think that all starts with understanding the customer journey. How did they, all the way to the beginning, how did they first come in contact with your institution? What was did they first start with just a savings account? Then did they go to a checking account? Did you originate a loan for them for their first car, their kid's first car? I mean, that's how you build a relationship. So, it really starts, if you can put the customer at the center of everything you do from a communication perspective, I mean, that's the first thing you need to do, is understand the customer journey, where they've been with you, where they are today, and where we want them to go with us. That's absolutely imperative.
Greg, you want to add anything to that?
No, so I keep, as you're talking about this, I keep thinking about the past couple of times that I've called whatever service that we're currently using. It's hey, this is Sally and I live in South Carolina, or this is George and I'm calling from Montana. Just little things like that makes me feel good. Okay, I'm calling somebody who knows what it's like living in the United States. And maybe for your organization, that's as regional as you can get. But even, if you could get down to a state level or even a city level, with getting that level of connectedness or empathy that your agents have and understanding what that customer is going through, I think little things like that just go such a long way when people are looking to organizations that they trust for help and guidance.
Absolutely. One of the interesting things, this was actually just yesterday, I was talking to a bank in the Texas area. We had talked about how to improve the quality of conversations and how to show empathy. And what we came up with is we built a strategy on how to take ideas from the hospitality industry. specifically like the Ritz-Carlton. If anyone's ever been to the Ritz-Carlton, the level of service is absolutely immaculate. I mean, the second you walk in, the experience that you have from the people, the place, and the amenities, the experience. And I think if financial institutions can extend that kind of ideology, right? Because if someone's with your financial institution, they are your guest, both physically, whether in a branch or in a location, whether they're on your digital assets or whether they're talking to any of your frontline agents. That's a guest experience. And if we can borrow the ideologies from hospitality, I think we're going to be a whole lot better off again in the year 2022 and 2023. Financial matters are delicate more than they've ever been since probably 2008.
100%. Yeah. I mean, let's say you're racked up credit card debt, you're trying to restructure your credit card debt, or you're trying to find a way to take out a second mortgage, home equity line on your house. Like when you're going out and competing for rates, everybody's rates suck right now. And so little things like, how did that person make me feel when I talked to them on the phone? Like can be the difference maker. Did they answer my questions fast, or did they put me on hold for an hour to go find the answer? Little things like that go a long way, and they're controllable. It's easy to control those things.
Yeah, and you know what? That reminds me as well. So I'm going to talk out of the other side of my mouth, right? I think the quality of the conversation is really important. But Greg, you hit on something interesting. What you're also talking about is effort, right? The quality of the conversation needs to be good. I want an empathetic human on the other end of the line. But at the end of the day, getting a loan's a pain. But if any organization, any institution can make it easy, painless, I will gladly pay a couple more points for an easy application process where I don't have to prove that I'm not the 50% majority owner of BlackRock. Like, obviously I'm not. Why do I have to prove that? Make it easy for us, and we will be loyal customers to you forever. So we do preach customer effort, obviously customer satisfaction, obviously NPS, but effort is quickly becoming one of my favorite metrics to measure.
So we've talked a lot about the empathy side, the personnel side. What about the technology side now? As we evolve, I mean, we've already seen it with the chat GPT that's come out, and it took over LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn, like I think with tech evolving, how are financial institutions staying afloat? How are they evolving with it?
Well, I would say first what I've noticed, and this is no knock on any financial institutions out there, but I feel like what I've seen in the market is financial institutions have kind of been last to adopt the really innovative technology, especially on the contact center telecom side, for customer service. Now, I think they've been early adopters on the sales and marketing side. But customer service, they're still doing the migration from the on-premise vendors to the cloud vendors, and they're doing it now. I mean, the last 2 years, and the work from home kind of forced them to. But I would say they're still a little bit newer. Now, I think what I've seen is sales and marketing budgets have stayed intact, mostly, right? Depending on the industry and financial institutions, we're seeing them flat, if not actually a little bit up. On customer service, the budgets have been cut by 20, 30, 35%. So on the customer service side, they're having to deliver the same results with less human capital resources. So technology is absolutely a non-negotiable. You have to be putting in self-service, call deflection, digital assets to help your customers solve their issues, so they never have to go to an agent. And by the way, they're waiting on hold for 30 minutes because you cut a third of your agent population. It's a non-negotiable. On the sales side, budgets might be around the same, maybe a little bit higher, maybe lower. The focus now is what technology can we deploy to increase our conversions on the sales and marketing side. It's all about having real-time coaching, real-time guidance. How do we speech analytics to close these customers on their loan, make it easy? Again, we talked about we need to convert. Every single dollar we spend on customer acquisition through ads, SEO, thought leadership, we need to make the most of those dollars. And that happens on the sales and marketing contact center side. So technology to convert is huge.
Yeah, and I mean, the cost to acquire customers is going up. We've seen our ad spend for the same ad words, double and triple in some cases in the past year. And so that cost to acquire customers isn't going down. And so that means that, your 8-to-1 conversion ratio, or your 10-to-1, or your 10-to-2, whatever that is, like, that has to stay where it's at or go up. Ideally, you go up. And so if you can move the needle by 1 percentage point on that conversion, that downstream impact at the bottom of that, on your financial chart makes a huge difference. And you don't do that by just throwing more humans at it. You do it by increasing the efficiency of the humans you already have in place.
Yeah, absolutely. Efficiency and effectiveness, right? So that's when things like coaching, listening to calls, you have to refine your scripts, your objection handling. You have to refine that constantly. It's not a one and done. Consumers are changing. Their expectations change every day. If every single day Amazon comes out with a new product that makes us as consumers think we should get things at the snap of a finger, I mean, it's a constant effort to improve, just like you said, Greg, the efficiency, but also the effectiveness of those reps.
Yeah, it's definitely not stopping. So if you're not getting on the technology bandwagon, as people would say, then you're going to get left behind at some point, because it keeps evolving quickly.
Mm-hmm.
As we wrap, go ahead, Adam.
This is reminding me of another financial institution. So, a lot of these institutions are publicly traded, and when you look at the investor decks of these companies, you'll see that the number 1 through 5 objectives of these institutions are to, grow net deposit accounts, increase mortgage income, increase trust assets, things like that. But then we go into the contact center and we say, what are you measuring? What are your KPIs? And it's average handle time. And it's the classic ones. I'm like, guys, it's time to start measuring your KPIs related to the overarching goals of your institution. So we need to start not just measuring average handle time and how many calls we've handled, but how many times are we converting from a service call, how many times are we converting that service call into opening a new account with us? The reason why, there's an obvious reason why. The obvious reason why is we want to obviously help the bank or the institution reach their goals. But the less obvious thing is, guys, next time your budget is about to get cut because of a macro environment, today you can only point at call center statistics around average handle time, total talk time, total SLAs, but you can't today measure how many times you've had an upsell to increase net deposits. But once we start tracking those KPIs related to the institution's overall goals, you're never going to have an issue getting budget, because you are having a direct impact on what your institution is telling the street. So that's one of the more powerful conversations we're having with our customers today is, let's keep measuring average handle time and SLAs, but let's add some hard-hitting metrics and measure the impact of our call center to the bank's objectives.
Just like go deeper, right? Align those to revenue, align those to the bottom line, much more than just kind of superficial frontline KPIs, which are leading indicators of success downstream. But to your point, that you align that to the bottom line, it makes it a lot easier to justify the ask.
Absolutely.
And that's a good actionable takeaway too. So I think changing your KPIs and what you're measuring. What else, if you could give another 1-2 piece of advice for someone who works at a financial services institution, maybe from any level, what would you tell them right now? Adam, you want to take a stab at this one?
Yeah, and I'll just kind of repeat a little bit of the same, just in a different flavor. It's really understand what the institution's goals are and figure out how to take your KPIs and find correlations. Work with your analytics partner. This is maybe another good one, is work with your analytics partner and understand your existing customer demographics. If you know that the average consumer at your bank, for an example, if they have over $5,000 in their savings account, then they have XYZ likelihood to open up a business checking account or a personal checking account, or they're XYZ likely to get an auto loan with you, right? So if you can work with your analytics team to correlate that data and then deliver that data to the contact center and say, hey, every time we see a customer with over XYZ in their savings account, we need to be launching this script to then try to upsell an auto loan or a per debt consolidation loan or whatever it is. Today, the contact center, they don't get that kind of analytical information. They don't get the correlation. So they don't know when to upsell, which leads to low success rate and annoyed customers. But if we're only pitching to customers with a high correlation to success, the customers are going to appreciate that. They're probably already thinking these things. So I would say that's probably my biggest piece of advice is get with analytics.
It's great. Greg, what about you?
I want to piggyback off of that. I think of that as like a churn reduction tool. And so the more you can identify upsell, cross-sell opportunities within the account based upon leading indicators of previous success points, like different accounts that they've opened up, different programs they participated in. I've thought about changing my bank a couple times, but then I go, wait, how much is connected to my bank? And all these different accounts, my college savings accounts for my boys, like my retirement accounts, investment accounts, checking accounts, it's like, oh, I would never want to switch. That sounds super painful. And so if someone has a checking account and they have X number of deposits, find out what that level is to then go and pitch them that next account, because you're just increasing stickiness and the lifetime value of that customer.
It's great. I love it. Well, thank you both. I think we're going to have to do a second round of this and dive into some specifics, because I know there's going to be questions as we hit on some very good topics here, especially as people are entering 2023. So Adam, Greg, appreciate the time. Thank you very much for joining me today on our first episode of the video series.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Great time.
Thanks, Adam.